I don't know if I am ready for that. But hello, friends. My name is Steve, and we're here today to discuss the film Lamb. It's going to be an interesting one. And I'm here with Tony and Crystal. Anthony, will you give us an introduction, please?
Hello, my name is Tony, otherwise known as Mr. Selfie on Twitter and Horrible on YouTube. I've written a couple of books and I do some horror gaming playthroughs.
And Crystal?
Hi, I'm Crystal, and I do have a booktube channel here called Fiber Artsy. Talk mostly books and occasional K-pop video mentioned, but mostly horror, sci-fi, that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yes. So we were talking before we went live about our thoughts on this one, and seems like it's a mixed bag all the way around. But Tony, I think you're on the more of the negative side. So let's start with you. Give us your thoughts.
Okay, where to begin? Okay, so what I'll do is, if it's okay, I'll kind of explain the film, and then we can dissect it if that's for everyone's taste.
Go for it.
But so essentially, we're introduced to Maria and I'm going to butcher some of the Icelandic sort of names, so I do apologize. But like Ingvar. Is that right? Mm-hmm. Is that the way? This couple that are, let's be honest, not that quite happy with each other. We see the minutiae of their kind of day-to-day life, of their farming life. They have this kind of like farm far in the mountains, beautiful kind of serene area. But you kind of get the sense that they're not particularly happy with each other. I think the first 15 minutes of the film, there's like little to no dialogue at all. Very kind of there will be blood in that respect, where you see them go through their motions. What essentially happens at the very beginning is there's this like kind of weird, we can discuss this, but this sort of weird force, cosmic force, karma force, something is coming into the kind of sheep pen or the lamb pen, and they kind of are giving they're doing the giving birth, and you don't really know what's happening because you're going on their reactions, but it turns out that one of the lambs has given birth to a kind of half human, half lamb hybrid. Is that the right word? I don't know. And they begin to they begin to treat this animal or half baby as their own. Then Ingvar's brother Peter, I guess it turns up. He's like a kind of faded ex-rock star or whatever, and he's obviously had some bad times with his bandmates or whoever he owes money to. He's been dropped off. He comes into the mix. There's a bit of a weird love triangle going on with him, Maria. They've obviously had a bit of a past that they're trying to keep secret, and yeah, it kind of goes from there. But that's the kind of main thrust of the story, I think, if you will. So what I found interesting about it, there's a lot of interesting parts, but for literally the first 40 minutes, I was sitting there going, oh, you have to be in the right mind space for this type of film, I think. It's like Stalker. It's like Andrei Tarkovsky's Stalker. You have to be in the right mind frame, I think, personally.
Mm-hmm. It's fair. Crystal, what about you? What are your thoughts generally?
Like I kind of mentioned earlier, but there are a lot of things about it I really liked, and then there's stuff I'm just still just kind of like, huh? Like I'm not quite sure how I feel about this. You mentioned the scenery, of course. I mean, the gorgeous, where the location where it was filmed, even like how the house looks and everything, and all of that, even how it was filmed, the day-to-day of their life. I just thought it was filmed beautifully.
Mm-hmm.
I thought I did really like the acting. I mean, there's not a lot of dialogue really in the entire movie, honestly, but I thought they really acted out those scenes really well to convey emotion. Even though words weren't really said, I think you could kind of get kind of they had something happen, and there was some tension in their relationship. And you didn't need the words to say that, to feel that. So I thought that was done really well. I liked the weirdness. I mean, I like a good weird movie, but I also felt a little. What's the word I'm looking for? Like it almost like it was missing something too. Like I wanted maybe something a little bit more about the weirdness, you know.
Yeah.
So I felt just a little at the end of it all, like all this kind of slow build to this whoa cool thing, and then it just felt just kind of So that's kind of, it was like a little roller coaster ride of like how I was feeling about it watching it, I guess.
It's a really good point about the build up, and then at the end we get like 2 or 3 minutes of kind of this kind of the story kind of takes off, and we get some explanations on, well, not really explanation, we have an idea of where the lamb came from, or kind of sort of, but
Kind
and
of,
then it's just
yeah.
then it's like over. Well, I think this would have been better. So I say this a lot, but this would have been better served as like an hour-long episode of like Black Mirror or like an anthology series. I don't like the brother, other than this love triangle that they hinted at.
Yeah, I didn't care for that.
I mean, the only thing yeah.
No, go on. Sorry, Steve.
No, so the only thing I can think of is they kind of hint around about that they lost a child at some point. They kind of, so that's hinted at. I wonder if the brother somehow was the father of that baby, and that's part of the tension. Maybe I don't
Yeah,
know.
no, I caught that as well. I mean, I basically was thinking. So there's a scene where once the lamb Ada, I believe her name is, like, she basically has named what are we going to call the half hybrid sheep thing? I don't know what we're going to call it.
The Minotaur,
Ada, I guess.
Yeah.
The Minotaur. Yeah.
Just call her Ada, right?
Yeah. But like, there's a scene where Noomi Rapace's character takes her out to see, obviously, what we perceive to be her sort of lost child sort of thing, called Ada. And I think a lot of that is in the sense of, as well, which I kind of like, and which I did like about this is in terms of the film, is that there's a very kind of poignant scene where Peter turns around and essentially at the start is very anti this, like, it's just like, this is an animal. What are you guys doing? He basically says, like, what the fuck are you guys doing?
Yeah.
And the brother Ingvar sort of like turns around and goes, like, we're happy, you can stay here as long as you like, sort of thing, but don't sort of don't judge us, essentially. And they're sort of rearing this Ada child thing as their own, and it's like, but that they know that it isn't right, and it's like, this is only going to be a short-term maybe happiness, in the same respect that maybe because of the previous child, and as you were saying, Steve, like there's very ambiguous tenuous links to where she Maria goes like, oh, he's back again, like, how long for this time, and stuff like that. So you do get the kind of sense that perhaps the previous child that they had was his. I did get that feeling that maybe there was something there, that they had a relationship beforehand that was secretive to Ingvar's knowledge, and maybe this child, maybe it may or not have been. But I like that aspect of it. I like the kind of thing that it kept you sort of guessing in that kind of respect, and you didn't need to know, it didn't need to be laid out for us. I think, like Crystal, what you were saying, it is very minimal dialogue in this film, and what a lot of people say, the actors say with their eyes, with a little body movement, with a little flicker of this, with a little flicker of that. And I really enjoyed that. I really do like those type of things, because it's more theatrical in that kind of respect. Not quite cinema screen, but theatrical in terms of, how someone can convey a certain sense without trying to sort of impose it on you. So I did like that a lot. That was probably my highest regard of this film, was the little dialogue that was used. What they were actually saying was said in their eyes and their body language. And once again, like we were talking about, Steve, yesterday, sort of thing, there's so many things that could be said without having to, it's very ambiguous, because what's being said in the room isn't being said by voice, it's being said by other things. So I really enjoyed, that's probably the most thing that I took away from this.
I think when you have that opening where it was it was just no talking. When you find out that they've lost a child, all of that to me made more sense too, because they've gone through something, I'm assuming traumatic, this loss of a child, and then there's just this disconnect between them. They're just kind of going through the motions, they're doing the sheep, they're feeding the sheep. He's putting the hay out, and this is like every day, and I think that just when I found out and saw that the child, I was like, oh, okay, yeah. All that beginning kind of setup of what their relationship was like, what their relationship was like, it kind of made sense.
Yeah, because it's interesting as well, because they had I think their first conversation that they have is at the table, the breakfast table, and he's talking about this newspaper article about time travel, it's theoretically, and he's like, oh, wouldn't it be great if we go, and she goes, what about the past? And I think that's the kind of the first morsel of the indication that she prefers what they maybe previously had, sort of thing. So I thought that was really interesting, and that's what I thought was really interesting. Although there wasn't much dialogue in this, everything that was said like there was no sentence or line that didn't mean something poignantly, I think. And some of the best script writing is that, so I do have to commend the script writer. Well, I believe it's the director and a poet, isn't it? Sean, I don't know how to pronounce that sort of thing, but sorry, once again I'm butchering it. But I think sometimes less is more, and especially in this particular film, less was very more in that regard.
It gave everything purpose, Sorry,
exactly.
Blind, very blind. Don't tell me now, but everything was purposeful. What words were said were purposeful. Just made it better.
So I think we can all agree that they were going through some type of grief or loss, and they were going, like Chris, like you said, it's like this mundane daily grind that it's just the same thing every day. This like a lot labor intensive. There's not this. You could tell that there's some tension there. So now that we're talking about it, my wonder is, was this hybrid or whatever, Ada or whatever that was it a gift? Or was it an accident? Or was it something that happens once in a while? Or was it purposeful, given to them as like something to help them fill that void? And they betrayed that gift by maybe killing the mother, or they betrayed it in some other way. That's why they were killed at the end. I wonder. So where did it come from? Like, why did it happen? Or was it an accident? Was it on purpose? I guess it's really vague. We don't really know. But do you have any thoughts on that, either of you?
Crystal, do you want to go first on this one?
Oh gosh. Well, to me, I say she wasn't meant for them. I feel, because of how everything ended up. And this mom is like raising holy hell, the mom sheep. Like, she's totally upset. Like, she's really upset that they took her baby in their house and like raising it as their own. And she's like, hell no. And then when the big creature at the end, he's like, she wasn't for you. She wasn't for you. And that's how I feel.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree. Like, I think it's very telling that, for example, the mama sheep, I guess, the mama lamb, I don't know what you want to call the mother lamb, the one who gives birth to the hybrid, is like constantly round at the window, to the point where Maria has to kind of take her out and just basically shoot her in the head, because there's obviously a lot of guilt, there's obviously a lot of shame, there's obviously all those kind of like feelings going on, that she literally takes so I think for my respect, I'm taking away the kind of karma aspect, where, because originally I did think this was based off like a kind of folk tale, Icelandic or like tale, but I kind of read on some articles that this isn't actually any particular folk tale as such. And the director has kind of turned around and said that this is more of a kind of, once again, Steve, like we were talking about yesterday with Men, like the director's been like, well, you take away what you want to take away from it, sort of thing. And it's like, yeah, that's art, great, right? But yeah, it's art, right? It's subjective. You can take away what you like. but there is more elements, I think, at play here where, like, the very first scene is that you have this kind of like shed or barn, sorry, that you have like the sheep in, and you have this, and I need to ask you this guys' question, because in my head there seemed to be a form in the kind of doorway, but I didn't know if I was just maybe imagining it sort of thing, or if it was my mind playing tricks on me sort of thing. But I felt there was something very silhouetted in the darkness kind of thing. And he's obviously made the sweet loving to one of the lambs, you know, and birthed this kind of hybrid creature. But knowing that this animal, this minotaur type creature type thing is going to come back and reclaim what is his, or, you know, and that kind of respect. So yeah, I kind of got the feeling this was maybe a fable, or a kind of, in that respect, a kind of cautionary tale of not sort of taking what is not yours, in terms of, although something can be seen as a gift, is it a curse in that kind of respect as well? So I did get my kind of comeback from it was more the kind of karma element, i.e., if she hadn't have killed the mother lamb sort of thing, would it have been a different story? You know what I mean? If she hadn't have done that, if she'd have just left, would the minotaur creature type thing come back and just reclaimed it, and they left them alone? Who knows? Like, yeah.
What are your thoughts on that, Crystal?
Yeah, I wonder if the daddy, I guess, was
I like that.
plan,
let's call him the daddy.
was it,
I like it.
Was
daddy.
it his plan to come back for the baby the whole time? You know, I don't know. Think about that now. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
also what's he been doing?
Be careful what you wish for.
Yeah.
Too.
Is he just going around, just like,
I don't know. You need someone to take his place in the whatever realm he lives in. You know. I don't know. But
he's obviously, like, he's not a barbaric sort of creature, because he obviously knows how to handle a weapon.
Yeah.
And we see that at the very end. But like, and there is purpose there. He has intent. So that was the thing that I was sort of immediately sort of struck by, was the point where he obviously shoots Ingvar sort of thing once in the neck, and then once again in the side, I believe. Yeah. And it's like, there's a moment where they're almost like trying to pull, like, obviously Ingvar's like, no, I don't want you to leave, sort of thing. But then the daddy is pulling them away, and it's like, and the small Ada hybrid goes off with him without much in the way of resistance. I don't know. Yeah. So are they just going to wander the land aimlessly? Who knows?
They live in the mountains somewhere. Maybe they have a little cave somewhere.
Get a nice little cave.
Well, the brother-in-law does see the daddy. He does see the daddy in the barn briefly when he's waking up, but he doesn't seem to be bothered by it a whole lot. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but if I was half asleep and saw something like a minotaur in the barn, it'd wake me up pretty quick. I think the brothers was a way for us to be in this movie, like for us to give that different perspective. But
yeah,
I mean, if one of your family members brought out a hybrid lamb human and set them down on the table, I don't know about you guys, but I'd be probably running out. He didn't seem. I mean, he seems a little bothered by it, but
that was the moment for me where I was like, I kind of understood to a certain extent the beginning. Like, so the first, like, half an hour is just these two couple. We don't really know the situation at the very beginning, sort of thing, but as it goes on, they're having this reaction to this birthing scene, and then the brother, as you said, I completely agree with you, Steve. Like, it was like we're meant to be the POV of this, as a viewer, as how would you react? And yeah, you wouldn't just be sitting there going,
eating your potatoes.
Okay. And then later on going like, what is going on? Like, you'd be like, yeah, there would be, I think maybe this is like an Icelandic thing. I don't know. Like, in terms of like, they're just really cool and chilled. I mean, I've been to Iceland sort of thing, and they are pretty cool and chill people, but wow. No, that's another degree of just going like, oh, okay, I see. This baby creature's coming in with one hoof and one arm, and I think there'd be more of a freak out sort of thing in reality. So, yeah. But I guess they had to play it well for the film. So,
Yeah.
I guess.
But what did you guys think when you first saw that it was a hybrid? Because for the longest they just wrapped it up, and you just were saying the little head, and I was like, "What's going on? What's going on?"
yeah,
And then you finally see the little body. I'm like, oh, I think I literally was
Yeah.
like gasped. I was like, "That's what it is. That's what's
they
going."
did it really well. I
Yeah.
will say that's another thing. They did it really well in terms of it was all the reaction. So the first birthing scene. So we know something's not quite right. And obviously, if you've seen the trailer, you kind of know what's going to be happening. But then there's that one scene where it's literally like a half a second of this sort of infant child that has like a human body. But just at the time, because I didn't notice the hoof
for the longest time,
yeah, for a while. So it was just that kind of half second of this. It's actually like a whole human torso from the neck down, basically what I perceived at the time. Then found out that it's actually more of a diagonally sort of like shaped thing where the hoof is like one arm and the hand is the other sort of thing. I think they did it very well, and I thought the CGI was really good as well, to be honest with you. That could have been a massive like, oh no, they've messed this up sort of thing, but it was done really well. So yeah.
Classy Vigilante, the brother has virtually no reaction, and the main character immediately accepts it, which frustrated me.
Yeah. I mean, I think once again that goes into the kind of respect of, for the actual story, for it to work, we have to believe that this couple who have now accepted this hybrid creature sort of thing, it's in their life now, and that we don't know the timelines, because this is the film is like divided into chapters, right? So I was also thinking that like, oh, we're going to see like this creature develop, like it's going to be like a small creature, then a teenager creature. And I thought at the end, we're going to have like this group thing, like where it's going to be like this teenage sulky, thing going on. Didn't happen, but that's what I was thinking. So I think there is a bit of a time jump for each thing. So in that respect, I think that by the time the brother arrives, they've already accepted it, because we have that scene where Ingvar's in his tractor and he breaks down, like when he first, that's his kind of way of dealing with it, I guess, that he's kind of like, this is his acceptance. He knows it's wrong, but it makes his wife happy, I guess. So he's going to be like, okay, we're going to go for it. That's what I took away from it. I could be completely wrong. But when the brother then turns up, he's become programmed to be like, everything's fine. This is all fine. Everything's fine. So yeah.
I think they, there's this desperation, I think, within. So when they see this baby, basically fall out of nowhere, right? Not nowhere, but you know what I mean? And so they're like, okay, I'm wondering if maybe they weren't able to have any more children, So there's this, I think there's these complicated emotions, and I think that possibly helped them just accept it more too, particularly Maria. Wasn't it Maria? Yeah. What are the lengths that you would go to have another child in your life, even if it's a weird one?
Oh yeah. Turns out. The brother did react, though. He took the lamb baby thing out to shoot it and then didn't. And he was taking a nap with it instead.
Yeah. I mean, that's true. I mean, I guess like his immediate knee-jerk reaction was like, I don't know what's going on here. There's a scene where he's sitting outside with the grass and he's like going, come on, sheepy. And Ingvar's like, what are you doing? Because like he's treating the hybrid creature like an animal, which you should be doing, I guess. But then I guess that's his kind of resolve. Then he does take the Ada out to shoot her sort of thing, and then has a change of heart, I guess. There's a big jump though. That's the thing. I like Brandy's right, like, but I would have liked more of an instinct where he's got literally the kind of shotgun or whatever it is kind of thing. And then it cuts, and then we come in and we see Ada on him, and I'm like, I just would have liked to have seen that kind of emotional moment where, because all we've seen is him down the barrel of a gun, and then the next minute he's accepted it. And then from that point on, he's like, Uncle Peter's, bear him on the tractor, come on, let's go. And it's like, wanted a little bit more sort of resistance there, perhaps. But yeah.
I did wonder, Crystal, did this cross your mind as maybe the hybrid had some kind of like power that he could that it could influence people to like a charming thing where it would maybe that's why everyone's so accepting because it had some kind of
Maybe.
magical pull or something.
Yeah, maybe it has some kind of glamour. Maybe that came from the daddy, Like,
Yeah. He's pretty
I don't know.
popular with the sheep, with the lambs. So
I think that's a really good shout, actually. That there's this kind of almost cosmic sort of force going on that we're not privy to. That actually like be that's actually a really good theory that maybe this whatever this thing is kind of preying on these grieving couple and kind of bewitches them somehow in that respect, or by proxy through Ada bewitches them into thinking that this, that, the other. I never thought of that. That's a really good yeah, it's interesting.
maybe.
Who knows?
Who knows? I think I avoid watching trailers a lot because trailers spoil movies a lot. But this trailer did a really good job on giving you just enough to know that it's a weird movie. It didn't spoil like the height, like Christy mentioned, the first out of the hybrid we get was like, whoa, like it was a shocking moment. And usually those moments are in the trailer. So I'm kudos to them for not spoiling the whole movie, just giving us enough.
I remember when I first saw the trailer, I was like, I want to see that. I mean, it definitely pulled me in. I mean, I'm bad at watching movies, so I just watch it now. But but yeah, I remember seeing it. I'm like, oh, I want to watch that. Yeah, it was a good trailer.
And Tony had mentioned it being a slow burn. Was this too slow of a burn for you, Crystal, or was it too slow paced?
No, wasn't for me. I think just because it was so well done, for me, again, seeing all that beautiful scenery, the really strong acting, it kind of pulled me in, even though it was slow. And then once the baby was born, I was hooked. Yeah, so I had to see where this was going to go. It wasn't slow for me.
The trailer made this movie look scary, but it wasn't what I thought it was going to be at all.
That's a fair shout. Like I thought the same thing as well when I first saw the trailer. I thought this was going to be like some kind of weird. I mean, the trailer's so abstract in terms of what you're actually seeing, but there was a definite sort of. So I think that's probably why when I first started watching it, the first I think like half an hour for me was just. It was a bit too laborious to be honest. I mean, I got the whole fact of having to set up a scene, and I got the whole fact of this couple that are basically not happy with each other, and because they're in this isolated sort of area as well. I got all of that, but I just kind of thought it could have been condensed down a little bit more. Yeah, I don't. I mean, I don't know. I don't need to see the everyday life of a farmer from like 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Not saying I'm just saying like, it just for me, it was just a little bit like, what is going on here? I didn't really know. So by the time things started picking up, i.e. when, the birthing scene and whatnot, I just kind of felt like, okay, something's about to happen. I'll be honest with you. I was sitting there actually thinking, well, these guys are going to need some kind of external force to kind of pull the story on. And that's when the brother came in. So I was like, I think for me, there was that part I was like, oh, okay, so here's the brother now, and he's going to be a bit of a spanner in the works, a bit of a cog in the wheel. And that's kind of what happened to a certain degree. So the fact though that I was predicting it, to me, is always a little bit like, why am I predicting what should be happening when, I should be like surprised by what's happening, if that makes sense. So,
yeah.
Was it the very opening, where it's this, it's this mist?
Oh, that was great, yeah.
And they
it's
had
like
the long hair.
Yeah.
And that was
the wind.
I was like, what's going on?
I was the same. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like it starts off this very kind of
If those. Are those like different sheep, or are they their sheep? Are these sheep that belong to the sheep daddy? I don't know, because they were different. different looking sheep.
Yeah.
Is this pre the story or is this post the story?
Hmm.
I don't know. Anyway, I love that
I-
whole just mist and fog and like
yeah.
the sheep in the shadows and stuff.
I think we all belong to the sheep daddy. Like at the end of the day, we all belong to the sheep daddy. You know.
Well, they did mention at the beginning, there's very little dialogue, so what they do say stands out, but they did mention that they are having the best year they've had in a long time. So
Yes.
maybe that's some kind of gift.
Mm.
And the hybrid is a way of like, okay, this is my payment. And you took my payment. I don't know. I mean, you could spin that a bunch of different ways, but maybe it was some kind of reward for or some kind of gift to them. And then they betrayed it, or they mistook it. They thought it was theirs, or I don't know. It was never
deal with the
yeah.
devil, or like
Mhm.
crossroads demon,
Yeah.
you know, where
Yeah. No,
you
no, you're
scratch
right,
my
Steve.
back and
Because
I'll scratch yours.
yeah, definitely. You're right, Crystal. Because I did remember that line, and in my head I was like, oh, that's interesting. That's almost like a kind of like, you know, the fruit will be provided, like, you know, the corn rows will be, he who walks amongst the rows is now, you know, providing the corn and everything like that. So I did actually think that, but I just completely forgot about it until you just said it. So yeah, I think you could be right though. It could just be a throwaway comment, a red herring, if you will, to see what's going on. But I also did think that like maybe that is the case. Maybe the daddy provides, but also taketh away when he wants to. So
If you frame this story around folklore, like if they're creating their own folklore, it would play into that.
Yeah.
If you wanted to take it that direction, you know, even just the fact that this sheep daddy is a hybrid himself, so he's elevated. He's elevated above regular sheep and maybe even above humans. I don't know. We don't know his sort of where he is on the line, but he's something to him, right? That's because he's otherworldly seeming anyway.
Yeah.
Crystal, where do you think the sheep daddy comes from? Like, what do you think his origins are?
Yeah, that's why I'm left wanting, and I thought I needed to explain to me like his backstory, really. But
the lore is really good. Like,
maybe
yeah,
like
yeah,
a little bit more,
a little bit,
you know. So you're just left to make it up. Like to me, I guess he's from the mountains and he lives in a cave, and he makes little babies for himself every now and then, and I don't know,
living his best life.
you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of it's left ambiguous, which isn't. I don't like you mentioned. I would have liked a little bit more about the creature, about the sheep daddy, because we only get him for what, like 30 seconds, a minute.
Oh, it's
the very
very
end.
yeah. I mean, one question I was going to ask you guys actually is: there's a moment when Ada comes out, when the dog is sort of sitting there, and she comes out, and you see in the reflection of her sheep eye, a figure standing there. I don't know if this was like a illusionary trick sort of thing, but I was pretty sure I saw two silhouettes kind of standing there. Did you see that or not? Or did you just see the one? Or was that just me? Like, I don't know if that was something, because I thought they were going to be parents. I thought there was going to be like a male and female. Now I'm getting into the kind of whole you and like what's a female sheep, what's a male sheep, all that kind of stuff. I don't know. But I literally, when she comes out, they do a close up of the eye, and it could have just been because of the kind of curved reflection of the iris or whatever, what do you call it, sort of thing. I just saw, I think I saw two, but maybe that's the sequel. The mama
Daddy
sheep comes.
Daddy returns.
Daddy's been bad. Mama's gonna have to do the slap down. You know.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I saw one figure, so
okay.
I could rewatch this, I think, and pick up on maybe some things that you missed. I think knowing what you know, and if you watched it through again, I think that would be interesting, actually.
Yeah.
Brendan, it felt like it was something out of Greek mythology where the gods come down and create demigods. Could be.
Yeah, definitely. It did have that kind of very as you said, like Greek mythology type sense of like, you know, just having this kind of creature come down and just create what it wants, kind of thing, and then judging the humans of the world. What's the good person of Shuai sort of thing, where it's like, you know, these gods are just judging the people about how they act and how they deal with certain things going on with them. Same type of thing, really. Like as I was saying earlier about the karma sort of aspect of it, I think, yeah, it's a good shout. Yeah, I like that.
But yeah, Krista, you mentioned the way it was shot. I thought it was beautifully shot.
We're so beautiful. I know, those mountains, and then yeah, every now and then that mist and fog would roll through.
Oh yeah, the rolling mist. Oh god, I love it.
God,
Yeah,
love
the
mist.
cinematography in this film is amazing. I don't know if this was shot in Iceland, right? I'm not gonna.
I think
I'm
so. I'll look it up.
stupid in a moment, but I've been to Iceland. So have you guys been to Iceland or been to Greenland or anything like that? Like it's a beautiful, beautiful place, and like when you see the aurora borealis and all that kind of stuff, it's amazing. Very cold. Got to get your thermals on.
It's a bucket list place, but maybe one day.
It looks like it was shot in Iceland from what I'm seeing.
In Iceland, yeah.
The so was it Ada's mom that Maria shot?
Yeah. I found that interesting. I think that was the kind of pivotal moment sort of thing. I think, Crystal, you alluded to earlier sort of thing, like, you know, when you have the mother of the Ada just always round the, and that was the other thing I was thinking of, like, if these sheep are always like in the pens, like how's this one getting out just to go round and be like, you know, at the window and all that kind of stuff all the time. And I know it's like, obviously it's to progress the story and everything. I get that, I understand. But the moment where I think Numi Rapace's character takes her out, and like that's a definitive moment of she's made a decision sort of thing, and like she's going to rear this child herself, and she doesn't want the guilt, because I think it's once again it comes from a guilt sort of area sort of thing of she knows herself that Ada is not, you know, her child sort of thing, but she has to sort of give her dominance of, I'm going to parent this child is mine sort of thing. So here I'm going to stamp on it. You're just a dumb animal and I'm going to shoot you in the head now. That's basically sort of like the whole kind of concept, I thought personally, in that respect, of like, I am now taking control of this kind of thing. So once again, it could be that thing of like when the daddy comes down, like that could have been a moment of, if he'd have spared her, maybe that could have turned out differently. Who knows?
I did find something about the end. I don't know if you guys want to hear it, but it's in Hindu mythology, Lord Ganesha, identified by his elephant head, is also an anthropomorphic figure. According to mythology, Lord Ganesha's human head, it was cut off by his father Shiva in anger. Later, Shiva felt bad for his rage and, in a calm state, used his godly powers to bring back his son. He attached an elephant's head to the headless boy's body, thereby giving a new life to Ganesha, or Ganelati. In Greek mythology, the Minotaur was a creature with the body of a man and the head of a bull. The physical structure of the beast can also be a direct reference to the Greek god Pan and the fictional Greek creatures of the woods, faun, that are inspired by him. In the film, the director tries to combine two mythologies from different cultures to carve out a meaningful tale. But even though the movie has some surprising and unique parts, that's their review. But yeah, that's their take on it, is the two mythologies.
I could see that.
Yeah, she was desperate to keep Ada.
And you guys read Slewfoot?
Sleuther?
Slewfoot?
Oh, oh no.
So there's a character named Samson in there who's very much kind of like Sheep Daddy. So he's got like a goat. He's a goat man, though.
Yeah.
But he is when you're kind of talking back to like the magical, maybe there's a magical quality here. Is that he's connected with, you know, sort of folk magic and all this kind of stuff, and yada yada yada. But Sheep Daddy reminded me of Samson. Samson from Sleuth.
I like it.
Sheep Daddy.
New band name. Sheep
Yeah,
Daddy.
Sheep Daddy. That's a good band name. Great band name. Yeah. Yeah, the brother, I'm not sure what purpose he served, really.
I mean, I think you needed to have someone in there to even from a different perspective, because like as I was saying, they seemed almost, it would have just been, you need an external force to come in and do something to kind of just shake things up a little bit, and he was that kind of person. I think the whole thing between him and Maria was maybe a kind of not, I don't want to say gimmick, but it was a kind of a movie trope sort of thing to kind of give a bit of tension between the whole thing. But he was essentially in there to kind of go, hey, this might not be right. What are you guys doing? Maybe you should be thinking about something else. Even though he then turns and becomes like Uncle Peter to Ada. Yeah, it's a bit weird. But yeah, I think you needed that kind of third external force to kind of just ruffle things up a little bit and get other aspects going on. There was a point actually when so when he tries it on with her, when they all get drunk sort of thing, and she basically locks him in the side room or whatever it is, like she comes in and goes, Maria goes, we're leaving now. And I thought initially, is she going with him? Like, is she just gonna just leave everyone and go with him? Like, I didn't really understand what was going on. Then she obviously just drove him to the bus stop. And then when I heard like the gunshot later on, I was thinking, oh, okay, is this going to be like a weird thing where they're going to try and pin it on Peter somehow? I don't know. That was just maybe kind of like Philip Marlowe in sort of like sleuthing, but maybe I was thinking too much into it in that respect. But yeah, I think you needed the kind of counter to Ingvar's character, because like Ingvar just was so accepting, I think, as well. So you needed like a bit of a, not malevolent force, but you needed someone to kind of confrontational that was able to kind of do other things that this other character wasn't able to do. So I think that kind of actually melded quite well with the whole ensemble cast in that respect. Yeah.
Did Maria see the minute the daddy creature? She didn't see him, right?
I think he like topped over the hill before.
Yeah. So that's a good question for you. So the last shot of the film is Maria sort of standing there. Obviously, she's just seen her husband die, held in her hands, kind of thing. Her daughter has been taken away, and the shot is looking at her as she's looking at us, and there seems to be this kind of weird moment, almost like a Pearl moment, if that makes sense, where she's just staring at the screen, and there's do you think there's acceptance there? Do you think there's, what kind of emotion do you think she's portraying there? Because it kind of then cuts to black, and it's like, I felt like in those last few seconds there was meant to be some kind of portrayal of something. I personally took away that she kind of accepted the fact that this she knew that what she was doing was a bit of a lie, and the fact that the daddy had come to take what was rightfully his, and she accepted it. That's what I thought. But what are your thoughts?
I felt the same, actually. Yeah, because she took something away by killing the sheep mama.
Yeah.
And so now something has, well, two things really, one that didn't really belong to her, but one that did, and so now they were taken away from her, on top of what was already taken away at some point in their past. So, yeah, it's sad.
Yeah, I wondered about that. And Tony, I didn't even think about whether or not she thought Peter would have done it, because she doesn't see Sheep Daddy. So
No.
why did Sheep Daddy kill the husband and not Maria? To punish her?
Maybe.
But I did sense some guilt and some like she knew that this was what she was paying a price for it.
I'll be honest. I just took it to the fact that whoever had Ada was like, if she had Ada, Sheep Daddy would have killed her, sort of thing. It was just like purely territorial in that respect. Like it was very animalistic in respect of whoever was there, basically, who had her. So yeah.
Mhm. All that scrambling, and her husband and lamb baby were gone in the end. Like Tony said, it's karma.
I do wonder why he chose to kill them, though. I mean, he could have just taken the baby and ran. So it wasn't, a revenge thing,
Hmm.
He could have just taken Ada and walked away. Like, if I saw that creature come up to me and be like, okay, give me this thing, I probably would be like, okay.
Take it.
Yeah.
There you go.
Don't kill me, please. Just
she's got wellies on. She's got her hoofs nice and clean.
She's got, the cute little boots. I know, I'm dying. The sweaters and the boots on the little baby. Oh my god.
That was very cute. That was very cute. I do have to say that.
So that was a choice that he made. He's like, no,
Yeah.
you're dead. Yeah, y'all done messed up. So
yeah. What is that? So what does Brandy? We basically, does Ada know you killed her mother?
When Peter threatens, or he basically
yeah,
like reminds her, like almost like blackmail.
Oh yeah, that's how I perceive that. He just basically wanted to get his end away, and I think he, like, when he tried it and in the kitchen when they were a little bit drunk, and she was like, "No, we can't do this." He basically had to say that to be like, "Well, I know what you did, so if you give me what I like, then that was I got the blackmail sort of vibe from that." So yeah, definitely, yeah. But that's when she knew as well that, like, maybe nothing could ever really be the same. That's why she locked him in the cupboard, very Shining style-esque. And then later on was like, "I'm going to drop you off. You're going to go off to wherever you're going to do your next thing, and maybe we'll see you again in the future, maybe not." But once again, like Steve, as you said, like, I think it's a good shout from before, because I get the impression that she's done this before. Like, she's gone through this process with him before. Like, it was very not automated, but it was like, right, we're going to the bus stop. I'm bringing you here. You're going to go on your way. We're not going to see you for a couple of months, and then you'll probably come back, and then we'll repeat the same. We'll rinse and repeat the same thing again. So what you were saying before about perhaps the child, the child that obviously passed away, sort of thing, was Peter's, could be correct. Yeah,
maybe.
It's good.
Otherwise, does the love triangle really add anything else to the story? I mean, he could just be a deadbeat brother-in-law. So the fact that there's this love triangle, there's some. What is it?
Well, I have a theory. So if Maria was with Peter, and if Peter took Ada out and killed Ada to begin with, would they be in this situation? Is it one of those kind of things where, because Ingvar was so compassionate and so willing to take on the role, that's kind of made him be the kind of fool guy sort of thing? Whereas if you take the kind of more pragmatic sort of route, the more realistic sort of route, and just treat this thing as an animal, then would they have been in the same place? Maybe. I don't know. I'm clutching at straws now.
I don't know if Peter would have been as receptive to the hybrid.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, if he was like the kind of if he was in the relationship, if he was basically Maria's husband, if whatever happened between, I'm going really theoretical now, but if he was in the position where he wanted to be, i.e. with Maria, and Ada came along, I think Peter would have taken her out with a shotgun and disposed of Ada a long time ago. Therefore, would the whole sheep daddy thing would have happened or not? I don't know. But I guess you take it in terms of, do you take the kind of compassionate role like Ingvar, or do you take the kind of hard route role that Peter did, even though Peter then sort of turned around because he saw this cute lamb face and was like, "Oh, love this. I'm now the uncle." Yeah.
Let's ride the tractor.
And she she made the cute baby sounds. Like coming out of the little sheep mouth, So cute.
It was creepy, yeah. The sounds.
At least it didn't make her talk. Like, if she would have started talking, I probably would have turned the movie off.
Well, it's interesting because I read an article that they purposely didn't make her talk
I'm so
because
glad.
they didn't want
That's-
her to be like a main character in that respect.
Mm.
They wanted you as the viewer to focus on the other characters and
Mhm.
just perceive her as
That'd
because
be-
like you
that'd be
that's
too
the whole
much.
thing. And once again, it's that whole like ambiguous thing of like you could take your role as like Peter, for example. You could like go, "Oh, this is really cute. Yeah, of course I'm going to cherish this creature and nourish it." Or you could take Peter's viewpoint and go like, "Let's take this thing out and kill it because it's really fucking weird." You know, either or. Like it depends on the person of who's watching the film, and I like that aspect of it as well. So, yeah.
Mm.
A little play into like what is humanity, you know, what makes a
Yeah.
living being worth living, you know.
Exactly.
I think you could, if you really want to delve into it, I think you could also, you know, if Ada taught, you know, spoke words, but would Peter have had a totally different feeling because she said he, you know, Ada said, "Oh, hi, Uncle Peter," instead of just, you know, looking real cute, you know.
Yeah.
Because once you add that, you know, sort of level to it,
It's a
that
whole
just
different
that
complex.
changes
Yeah.
everything. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a good
Definitely.
point.
Mhm.
Don't screw with nature is what I got out of it. Like, because Sheep
Don't
Daddy
take
will
one of
come for you.
yours.
Sheep Daddy is gonna come for you if you do with a gun.
He's got a shotgun. He ain't afraid to use it. Right?
Yeah, like being a sheep, like being a minotaur isn't enough. He's like, you know, he's armed.
Packing
So
heat.
yeah, he's packing heat. He's not playing around.
I wonder, is it his gun or was it their gun that he used on them?
I think he
The
took
same
it from.
gun.
I think it was their gun.
I think
Yeah.
it's the same gun, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, but that did remind me though. There's one scene where there is like another sheep that's like it's kind of its chest is like doing this like weird breathing thing.
Mhm.
I didn't really understand that. I was like, was that the beginning of? I don't know. Like I was sitting there, I was totally perplexed by this point, and well, I don't know what you thought, but like I was just sitting there going, okay, is this the part where we're going to find out more about Ada's how she came to be? And I'm sure it was, but I don't know if this was the birth of Sheep Daddy or if this was some kind of cosmic force that was working through the sheep. I don't know, but what did you guys think about that?
I don't even know if I'd have to rewatch. I don't remember.
Oh yeah, it's like a very short.
That scene, so.
Yeah, it's a very short scene, but it was really weird because I was thinking there was a point I was like, "Is this how sheep breathe? Like they go through their chest?" Like,
Yeah, it's like a
like this opening. It was like an opening cavity of their chest, and I was like, I don't understand what's going on here. I don't know what's happening. Yeah,
I don't go watch it again.
It's about halfway through, maybe a little bit more than half. But it was the sheep is breathing really heavily, and it has like a crease in his chest, and it's like it's I don't know. I wasn't sure what that meant either.
It's just some of those scenes where the sheep's like in their little pens and stuff. Like it would like focus in on their faces and their eyes. I would maybe all those sheep are like hexed in some way. I don't know. It kind of gave me the heebie-jeebies.
Yeah.
I was like,
did a good job with that for sure. Yeah. Anything else you guys can think of?
It's a strange one.
It is a strange one.
I think Brandy said
I
it.
just really liked it. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
No, go. You go ahead.
Overall, I really liked it. I just the ending maybe just a skosh more, but overall, I really liked. I really liked it for the most part. Yeah.
I enjoyed the kind of like as Brandy was saying, like maybe it's a Greek mythology, maybe it's karma, maybe there's different elements at play, which I think, once again, Steve and we were talking yesterday about that kind of thing of like you take away, like when you have a film that actually leaves you asking more questions than just a linear sort of film. I always enjoy that. However, on this one, I did think the pacing was a little bit to begin with. I know this is an independent film as well, so I hate sort of riffing on independent films because I always love them, but also at the same time, it's like I did think it just needed to get a bit more to the action shall we say, a little bit more quicker. And I understand that you have to do a bit of world building, a bit of lore building. But in this particular one, there was a point where I was sitting there going, "Oh, something better happened soon." I love the fact that, you know, it's basically centering on a kind of couple, a parent couple that have obviously dealt with grief, with any kind of like, and once again, we talked about this yesterday with men, like, you know, with any kind of like grief, with any kind of gothic horror style of things, there's always, you know, pathos there, and, you know, in regards of these two that maybe shouldn't have had this hybrid Ada child lamb thing, but doing what they were doing for the best of it, but maybe not for the best themselves, and then their own kind of selfish needs coming across. And, you know, I thought that was excellent. I thought that was executed well. Cinematography was amazing. If this isn't a kind of ticket seller for Iceland, I don't know what is. You know, and yeah, the score as well. Like, I mean, it wasn't too invasive from memory. It was just a bit more. It was very low key sort of style of things going on. The direction was sublime. Like, you know, it didn't put too much. There was almost like Western sort of style point of views, like where you saw their. I don't know. It's not a shack. To call it a shack would be a bit, but their house. But you saw like the doors. And it was very framed in a kind of way of like a Western sometimes, which I really appreciated as well. Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it, but I was aggrieved by the pacing to some respect, to the point of I thought it did become a little bit pretentious sometimes. So there was just that little element where I was like, so I was fighting against it a little bit. But overall, yeah, Sheep Daddy's the master, and don't mess with him. Yeah.
I think the first 20-30 minutes is to kind of lull us into this idea of this constant toil and just this like mundane, like, and the landscape is beautiful. You wonder if you're in that mind space, it's probably a lonely place to be.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. Yeah.
So I think that contrast of the beautiful landscape versus them and where they are in their lives, or they're handled with their grief, is probably and it doesn't seem like the sun goes down. I guess they live it never seems like it's night. So
yes, that's a yeah. I think oh god, from memory, isn't there like certain parts of Greenland and whatnot that it literally for 6 months or whatever won't have darkness essentially. I think that's because you're right. There are many a time where it's like, I'm going to bed now, and you're like, it looks like it's daylight. Like, what's going on, sort of thing. So, but that also probably is part of the allure, if you will, of what's going on, sort of thing. So
yeah, very strange one, but yeah. Overall, I think the more we talk about it, the more I kind of enjoy it. I'm more on the fence of pro.
Yeah, I'm doing that thing now where, like, you know, I've just been talking to you guys now, and I started off with this like, I didn't really like the film, but now I'm talking about it, like, yeah, I actually do. I really do like it.
I don't like it.
I do like it. I do.
Yeah, it's one of those. But yeah, I appreciate it more now that we've been talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but
good for conversation for sure.
Definitely, yeah. And I always wonder, are we going to have enough to talk about? And then we are an hour later, and we're still talking about it. So, yeah. But before we sign off, Tony, if people want to get in touch with you and find your work, where's the best place to find you?
You can find me on YouTube as Horrible, where I do some like mostly gaming playthroughs now. I did start off as meant to be a kind of horror review things, but that's kind of gone by the wayside. I prefer the kind of gaming stuff. But also got some books on Amazon, Birthday Treat and Catbox and other short stories. And now, based on what you were saying, Steve, starting to write a sci-fi one. So
nice.
going to be a homage to The Thing and Alien. So we'll see what happens there. But I'm a couple of chapters in and enjoyed it. So yeah.
Two of my faves. Okay.
Looking forward to it. Yeah.
I try not to disappoint.
Beta readers, if you need beta readers. You know.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I'll keep you posted. Definitely.
And Crystal, where can people find you?
Yeah. probably been mostly just here on YouTube. My channel is Fiber Artsy, and yeah, talk about books there mostly. On Instagram from time to time under Fiber Artsy too. Yeah.
Well, I'll leave those links down in the description, so everyone be sure and check them out and check out the channels and Anthony's books and everything else. So awesome. Well, thank you both for joining. This is a fun one. This is a good one. So
yeah, this is good.
Fun one to talk about. So tomorrow is, I believe, First Reformed. I forget what day it is, but we're turning along. So we're almost there. Almost at 24. But thanks again, everybody, for coming by and chatting. It's always great to get comments and to interact. So thank you all for hanging out. We'll see everyone next time, or tomorrow if you're watching this live. We'll see you then.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks.